So many of us have fallen down that rabbit hole of self-help, watching endless videos on how to live, but then nothing really changes. Well, today, we're going to dig into why that happens and, more importantly, what we can actually do about it.
So let's just start with the big question, right? Why is it that you can watch hours of amazing, insightful advice, feel totally inspired, and then, when it comes to your own life, it just falls flat? It's super common, and the answer, it turns out, lies in this one simple but really powerful disconnect.
And that disconnect brings us to our very first idea, something called the mirror problem. This is, at its core, the reason why watching someone else tell you how to live your life can feel so confusing and honestly, just doesn't work.
Okay, think about it like this. You're watching a YouTube tutorial on how to tie a tie. The person on screen is facing you, which means their right hand is where your left hand is. Everything they do is a mirror image of what you need to do, and it's totally confusing. It doesn't actually click until you turn off the video and start fumbling with the tie yourself. That feeling right there, that's the core mechanic of life.
And that's the bottom line. Proficiency in anything, really, is not a spectator sport. You can't get good at tying a knot or navigating a career or building a relationship just by watching from the sidelines. You have to be in the game, doing the work, making the mistakes, and actually feeling the motions for yourself.
So if watching is the problem, then doing has to be the solution. And that brings us to our next big idea, which I like to think of as filling up your experience bar, kind of like in a video game.
Look, you can be alive for decades and not actually generate any new, useful data for your personal hard drive. If you're feeling lost, the best, most practical thing you can do is just increase your output. Just do more stuff. You don't find clarity by waiting for some grand epiphany to strike you. You generate clarity by going out and creating new experiences.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because it pushes back on that one-size-fits-all advice like, just follow your dreams. For some people, that's rocket fuel. But for a 5'8" person who dreams of playing in the NBA, that could be a recipe for disaster. As Hank Green points out, you have to figure out who you are. Are you someone who thrives by betting it all on one big dream? Or are you someone who thrives by building and betting on your unique toolkit of skills?
But wait, this doesn't mean dreams are useless. Not at all. They serve an incredibly powerful purpose, and there's no better example of this than the story of Randy Pausch and what's known as the last lecture principle.
Just try to imagine this for a second. You're a brilliant computer science professor, you've just been diagnosed with terminal cancer, and you have one last chance to give a lecture. What do you talk about? Randy Pausch used that moment to break down step by step how he achieved every single one of his childhood dreams.
And the result? Absolutely staggering. That 75-minute lecture has been seen over 21 million times. A number that big isn't just a statistic. It's a giant flashing sign that there is some serious, universal truth packed into what he had to say. So, what was his big secret? Pausch showed us that the real point of having dreams isn't just about achieving them. The dream is the vehicle. The process of chasing that dream is what teaches you how to knock down walls. Every little obstacle you get past, no matter how small, adds another tool to your belt. And over time, you look back and realize you've built this incredible portfolio of things you can do.
And this idea of building skills over time is the perfect antidote to a very common, very modern anxiety, especially if you're in your 20s or 30s. It helps us escape what we can call the simulation trap.
You know this feeling. It's that quarter-life crisis dread, that terrifying thought that you have to pick one major, one career path, and then boom, you're locked in on that single track until the game is over. But here's the good news. That is 100% an illusion. It's not real.
Look, you can't just hit a reset button and start your life over. That's true. But what you can do is change an infinite number of small variables. Maybe you're deep in debt from a medical degree you're not sure about anymore. That doesn't stop you from starting a YouTube channel about baking on the side. The moment you realize you aren't truly trapped, you stop asking that terrible question, what should I do with my life? And you start asking a much better one. Of all the things I could do today, what am I going to do?
This all reminds me of that classic how to draw an owl meme. You know the one? Step 1, draw 2 circles. Step 2, draw the rest of the owl. It shows you the simple start and the finished masterpiece, but it skips the entire complex, difficult, and meaningful part in the middle. Life is just like that. There is no simple 2-step guide. Building a good life takes patience and practice. There's no cheat code.
Okay, so we've talked about the big mindset shifts. Now let's land this plane with 2 concrete, actionable things you can start doing, like today. Think of them as 2 little gifts you're sending to the person you're going to be in the future.
First, floss and wear sunscreen, seriously. But it's not actually about your teeth or your skin. It's about the daily practice of treating future you like a real person, a person who has to inherit the body that you're building for them right now. And second, keep a memoir, not a journal. Forget the pressure of writing every single day. Just log the big stuff, the huge wins and the major crashes. Create a record of what you actually did.
And I love this because it shows you just how easy it can be. This doesn't have to be some fancy leather-bound book you write in with a fountain pen. It can literally be a secret Google Doc with a text color set to white so only you know it's there. The goal is to have a log of your life, not to write a perfect novel.
So I want to leave you with this question to chew on. Think about something you do just for the fun of it, a hobby that seems totally useless on the surface. What unexpected, valuable life skill has that hobby actually taught you? Because it's often in those moments, when we're just actively doing something for the love of it, that we end up building the most important tools in our entire toolkit. Thanks for tuning in.